Assalamu alaikum. This is Khurram Shahzad from Garrison Academy Senior Campus, Gujranwala, Kent. I welcome you all to FBISE online sport program. This is the 16th lecture of 6th week for the class 10th computer science on our third chapter, which is input and output handling. Before going to start the lecture, please submit your homework assignment so I will be able to mark this assignment according to your performance. Now let's go to our today's topic, which is input and output. I have already opened the book here, which is on the chapter number 3, which is input and output handling. Input and output are the most important function of any language because it consists of the communication with the computer system. We have to communicate with the system, we have to give some input, so computer will give us output as a result. What will be covered in this chapter will be discussed here. Input and output operations provide the communication between a computer program and a computer user. Therefore, students should learn how to program the computer to perform input and output operations. So we have to learn how can we make our computer receive our input and how can a computer give us the output. This unit teaches how to accept the data from the input devices such as keyboard and how to output the result on the output device such as the monitor. It also teaches us the various types of operators in expressions so that the student learn how to perform calculation in C program. So let's get started our basic topics. Input and output function. There are two types of function: input functions and output function. In the programming, input means to enter or feed or to insert the data into a computer program, and output is what the computer produces after processing the data. C language actually provides many input and output functions which are used to provide interaction between a computer program and a user. First, discuss the output function. Output function is actually the function which is used to get the output on the screen of the computer. In C programming, output means display information on the screen or to print on the printer. C programming language provide different functions for output to output information on the computer screen. The most common function is Printf function. So let's talk about Printf function. Printf function is a simple function which is used to print text, constants, values and variables and expression on the screen in a specified format. It is used to print all these things by using a simple function. So what is the general syntax of this function is actually the printf and then a control string. Control string means a string which will control our output on the screen. It will tell the output should be on a new line, or it will tell that the data will be printed as a decimal, integer, floating point or any other type, and then the list of arguments what data is to be printed on the screen, the control string. First we are going to have a look on control string. Control string consists of text, format specifier and escape sequences. So we will have a look at this concept practically. So I'm going to open your compiler. I've already opened this compiler. I'll already type this program, so I'm going to repeat this work so you will be revised. So this is our dev C++. You have to install this software for programming. You will click here, file and new source file, or you will click here, file a new source file, or you will simply press Ctrl N to open a new file. Then after opening your new file, you have to write your first line, which is preprocessed directive symbol. You have to put a hash and then include here, and then you have to put the library file name which you are going to use in this lecture. We will going to use stdio, which is used for standard. Std means the standard input output, stdio.h, and then there will be a main function and parentheses, then there will be braces for our code. All the code will be done here in these braces. So I'm going to have a little printf function which will print us welcome. So I'm going to type printf and then a text which will be welcome to computer. Welcome to computer. Okay, then every line will be ends by using a semicolon. Same like in English, we have to end every line with a dot sign or a full stop. Here in programming, we have to end every line with every statement with a semicolon. So when you have written all these things, you may simply click here, compile and run. This will ask you to save your program. I'm going to save this program on my desktop by the name of lecture 16, and then the program will be run and you will see the welcome to the computer. If you change the text to something else, it will print welcome to lecture 16. Okay, if you put this here, it will print this line accordingly. So printf function is actually used for printing text, but it is not only for text printing. It may only print constant. For example, if I want to print a constant here, I may simply have a constant here. For example, I'm going to print 100 here, and where you have to print this 100 and what type of this 100 will be, you have to specify. For example, 100 will be printed here. If I'm going to have nothing here, it will be print nothing. So we have to tell that 100 will be printed as some type. For example, the type D. 100 will be printed now according to decimal rules, as is an integer variable, so it will be printed. So 100. So there are two things satisfied. It is used to print text, constant and values of the variable. Now we are going to have the values of the variable. So I'm going to create a variable. You have to create a variable. Creating a variable is very simple. You have to put the data type first. For example, I'm going to create a variable of integer type and name will be a and its value will be 200, and put a semicolon here. Now I'm going to print the value of a variable here. So I'm going to remove this 100 and going to add a here. So a here. Now it will print us the value of a. A is 200 and 200 will be here, and then 200 will be printed in these quotations 200, and you may print this all thing along with the text too. Now I'm going to have the value of a is equal to, and now I'm going to run this again. It will first print the text here and then it will print the value of a here. So this is the actually control string which is controlling the output. It will tell the compiler that first of all print this text and then print the value of a variable here. So this is the actual control string. Control string consists of text. There may be some text here. I have already written some text here. This is actually text. This may be anything we are going to print. And then the another thing is format specifier. This is the actual format specifier which is starts with a percentage sign. I have told my program that I am going to print the value of decimal. D stands for decimal. I'm going to have the value of decimal like variable. If I'm going to have a float variable here, I have to explicitly tell my compiler that I'm going to have a float value here. So I'm run this again. It will give me the value of floating point. You may simply give the exponential format of this variable by e. This will give us the exponential format of this variable. So this is the actual format string, or this is the format specifier which will give you what is going to print on the screen. Now I'm going to open the book again, and there may be escape sequence. Escape sequence actually tell the compiler how to control this string on the screen. For example, if I'm going to have the value of a on a new line, for example the value of a is, and here I'm going to put a slash n. Slash n is a escape sequence which is used for creating a new line in the program. Now I'm going to run this program and it will give me the value of a on the new line. And what if I put this slash n multiple times here? It will make these line breaks the value of 1 2 3 and 4 lines are exempted here. Now I'm going to remove these lines, and if you want the value of a variable by having a simple tab, you may simply add a slash t which is used for tab purpose. Going to run, this will give me 5 spaces here as in the Word file. So this is actually a format specifier. We have learned how to use the text, how can we use format control string, maybe text, format specifier, and the escape sequences which are the slash followed symbols. It is written with the double quotes. All the things are written in the double quotes, as I have written these things in the double quotes. Then text specify the message along with the values. Format specifier specifies the format according to which the value is to be printed. For example, it is a decimal value or a floating point value or a point value or fractional value. Escape sequence control the printing on the output device. Then the list of argument. The list of argument consists of the list of variable and constant and arithmetic expressions separated by commas. There may be variables, constant and arithmetic operators which can be used in this output function. The first output function, the first format specifier apply to the first argument, the second one the second argument, and the third one to the third argument. For example, if I want to have two values, for example here I'm going to change this again to integer, and here I'm going to change this to %d again. Then the first argument we apply to first format specifier. If I'm going to have another format specifier here, and I'm going to tell that %d, there will be two values. For example, a is already 100, and then I'm going to have a plus sign, for example a plus 200, and then I'm going to plus these one, a plus 200. So first argument will be gone here, a will be printed here in the decimal d, and then the second argument 200 will be printed here, and then the final sum will be printed here, the %d here. The answer of this expression will be 400 because a is already 200, and 200 plus 200 will be 400. Again run this application. So the value of 200 plus 200 is equal to 400. First argument is printed here, second argument is printed here, and third argument, which was the result of an expression, is printed here. This is the actual printf function with the control sequences. Following the example of the printf function, I have already given you the example of practical example of these variables, so you have to write these line by yourself by pausing this video. Then in the above program, the /n is an escape sequence. /n, I have already told you that what this /n does. /n is used, or this escape sequence is used to make a new line for our printing process. %d is used to printing the value in integer variable. It is used for decimal variables. Now I'm going to have a look at input functions. Output functions are most important for the printing purpose, and computer will do printing process by using this printing function. But before the printing, we must have to give the input to our computer, so our computer will understand how can we what values we have to calculate. In the computer programming, input means feed data into the computer through the input devices. C language provide different functions, but the most common function is the scanf function. Scanf function is actually used to get values into the variable from the keyboard during the execution of the program. The value is input to a variable in a specified format. For example, the syntax of the input function scanf is scanf, the name of the function, then parenthesis opening, then double quotes, specify the format, which type of variable is this, and list of variables in which we are going to store these values. The format specifies specific format of the variable. These are written within the double quotes or without spaces. The list of variable consists of the list of variables separated by commas. The format specifier is as same like format specifier in the printf function. In C language, ampersand sign or the and sign is used in the scanf function before the name of the variable to which the value is to be assigned. Ampersand sign refer to the memory location where the variable is going to store. For example, the input value of two integers a and b. The scanf function will be %d first variable, %d second variable, and ampersand a and b. Here is the format specifier. D is used twice to control string for the variable a and b. So let's have some practice on this scanf function. I have already created a variable. Now I'm going to create the variable b here too, which is also the type of this, and now I'm going to have the values. I have already first of all, in the first program we have already assigned the value in the a, which was fixed. If I'm writing here 200, it will be fixed and will be 200 in the whole life of the program. It will not be changed. Now I'm going to have a dynamic or simply the changeable value. For example, I can put any value whenever the program will be opened. So this could be done using scanf function. I'm going to have scanf function. You will put scanf and then the parenthesis sign, then the control string, which is used to take the input from the user. I'm going to tell that what type of data I'm going to receive, and then the location of the variable. For example, I'm going to have all the data stored in the variable a. This is this simple sign, and if you simple sign, okay, this will get the data of a, and if I'm going to have the data of b, I'm going to have the again function scanf, then the opening parenthesis, then the format specifier %d because it is a variable of integer type, and then the format and then the ampersand sign or and sign, and then the b. In both of the variable data will be get and stored in first of a and then b. So I'm going to have to plus this value. For example, a plus b. The value of a is which user will enter now, and the value of b will be user enter value, and the answer will be also calculated accordingly. So I'm going to run this program. It will tell that please enter the value. I'm going to add 100 for a and going to have 300 for b. The value of 100 plus 300 will be 400. So this is the actual process of taking the input from user. You may simply take the input in only a single scanf sign. For example, for the ampersand b, and there will be another %d sign to get all this data into simple one line. Okay, I'm going to remove this and run this program again. It will ask for the first 12 and then 12, and the answer will be 12 plus 12 is equal to 20. But whenever you have to get the data from the user, you should have a message, for example a simple message that will tell the user that what to do. For example, user is not prepared to enter the value of A and B, so you have to tell the user politely that please enter value of A and B. Now the user will be very sure that what he have to do. He will simply read this line and he will understand that he have to enter the value of this. So this is a polite message. For example, please enter the value of A and B. Now A will be 12 and B will be this, and answer will be here. So this is the actual process. How can we get the input from the user? You may get the input of another type. For example, you may get the input of character type, you may get the input of float type. If you want to have an input of floating point type, you have to put this float here. This is a floating point value, and here you have to put the F here and again F here, and I'm going to have this sign here to /n for the new line. Now I'm going to have this F here and here because I'm going to deal with floating point. Enter the value of A and B. A's value will be 2.45, B's value will be 3.62 or 25. The value will be here 5 point something. So this is the actual process of getting the input of different type for floating point, decimal type, but most of the time we will deal with the decimal type, which will be in integer format. Now we will going to understand this program, what the program is going to do. In this program there are three variables are creating, which are the type of integer int A, B and C, and then the user have prompt that enter the first number, and user will be enter first number, then enter the second number will be enter into B variable, and the third, and then the C is equal to A plus B, and then user is going to print the sum of these two variables, for example A plus B to C variable. This is a simple program. You have to read this description here and you will understand what the program is actually going to do. If you feel any question, feel free to ask. Then at last, what is the simple statement terminator? Semicolon is entered at the end of the statement in C language. It indicates that the compiler that the statement ends here, and if a statement is not terminated with C colon, the C compiler will give an error message during the compilation of the program. So after every single statement you have to put the semicolon, as like they have put the semicolon after every line. So you have to put the semicolon here. These are known as the statement terminators. Then the format specifier. We will read the format specifier in the next chapter. Thank you very much for this lecture. Allah Hafiz.